is the Harley-Davidson Fat Bob 114 cubic inch. It's the 2021 model. We reviewed this model a couple of years ago and we wanted to come back to it because it's an incredible bike.
Just want to say a big thank you to Sycamore Harley-Davidson for lending us this Fat Bob today. They've also fitted these Vance Hines Hi-Output slip-ons to this model. It hasn't had any tuning, so it's not stage 1, it's standard tune. You don't need to do any tuning to put these slip-ons on, and they give you that extra bit of burble, a nice good rumble, but they're not too loud.
The Fat Bob rides a little differently from some of the other Softails, and the reason being that the rake of the forks is a little steeper. We'll go into the dimensions in a minute, but that gives it a little bit more nimble handling, and when you turn this bike it wants to kind of drop into the corner more so than the other Softails, and the seat height's a little higher. So if you want a bike that's a little bit more towards the sort of a road bike than a cruiser, then this is the Harley-Davidson to be looking at.
You've got a rake of 28 degrees and a trail of 132 millimeters, and you've got a slightly shorter wheelbase because of that rake of 1615 millimeters. And what that means is this bike does like the corners a little bit more than the other Softail models. So if you have come from a sports bike or something like that and you want to get a Harley, this would probably be a good option for you, because you'll be used to it wanting to go around the corners a little bit more, and this certainly does provide that.
Now, this Harley-Davidson is very much like that bull over there. It's a big, brutish, torquey, powerful thing, built for strength and not so much for sort of nimble handling. So the sort of comparison between the two is very much alike. And the lovely thing about Harley-Davidsons is you get so much torque from 1,900 RPM to 3,000. You don't need to change gear after 3,000 unless you're really going for it. These have got so much torque you can just go up the hills, overtake effortlessly, and it's just like that bull.
The 114 engine that's in this bike, which is 1,868 cc, produces 155 newton meters of torque, like the old man said, at 3,500 RPM. And 93 horsepower at 5,020 RPM.
Now, I ride a lot of motorbikes. We've just reviewed the Honda CB 1000R, and when you get back on a Harley, it's just wonderful. There's something special about Harley-Davidsons, and one of those big things is the torque, and the Honda produces 104 newton meters of torque, I think it is, at about 8,250 or so RPM. That's quite high up. Well, this produces its peak torque of 155 newton meters at 3,500 RPM, and some of the Softails are 3,000 RPM depending on the model. And the difference is massive. You don't need to rev the bike to get all of that grunt, and that gives you immediate push and it gives you effortless push. So it's a very different way of riding, and I really like the laid back kind of powerful, muscular feel. I'd say powerful, but you know, it's torquey. I like that feel of a bike much more than revving the nuts of something to get something out of it.
Got a 13.6 litre fuel tank on the Fat Bob, and this bike does 43 miles per gallon, which is official figures. That's what all the Softails seem to be doing. If you're really hooning it all the time, you'll probably get a bit less than that, but that's not bad going for an engine of this size. The seat height of this Fat Bob is 710 millimeters. I'm 6'1", and this bike feels pretty perfect with me. You've got the forward controls, so that gives you a little bit extra leg room. You'd be alright if you had a Softail with mid controls at my height, but the forward controls does give you that extra bit of room.
You've got forward controls and you've got pegs instead of floorboards, so that gives you plenty of room. So if you're a bit taller, it gives you a bit more leg room. So this is a good bike for people who are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and also obviously normal heights, 5'10" to 12. Say normal height, that's the sort of national or the world average. So I'm not being biased anyway, it's just the way it is.
Leave your comments below what you think of this bike so far, and if you've got one, tell us what you think of it. And what would you do to this bike if it was yours? What sort of customization would you go for? I think definitely that side number plate looks good. Maybe if you've got a smaller plate, but that's illegal. But yeah, let us know what you think below.
I love the sound of the Harley. You can't beat it. There's nothing like it on the planet. And you don't need to be revving them. You know, I'm at 2,250 RPM, and the torque is there when you need it. And that's what it's all about. You don't need to rev these things. And it's handled beautifully. It really takes the corners nicely. And it's a new bike, so it's been running, so I'm not going to rev it above 3,000 anyway. But this really does corner. It's going to corner if I can't see around it. You've got double disc brakes on the front of this bike, so the stopping power on this is very good indeed. The mirrors on this are a little low for the handlebars, so you only get about a quarter of the road behind you, so you could undersling them, in which case you'd get all of the road, or you could always go for taller, wider mirrors, but it depends on your height, of course. Being 6'2", I'm quite broad, I'm blocking most of the view.
This Fat Bob weighs 306 kilograms, and that doesn't feel really much heavier or less heavy than any of the other Softails. Once you're going along, you don't really notice the difference.
I like the handlebars on this. They don't have much pullback, which is good, so you get a nice riding position, and the view of the road ahead is uncluttered completely. You've got a nice little clock in the middle here, so the view ahead is really good.
Now the headlight that's on the Fat Bob, at first when this bike first came out, when they released the new Softail models, I didn't like it at all. But over the years this has really grown on me, and it brings a sort of modern aspect to a classic looking bobber. So I think it's a really nice headlight.
Now stylistically this is a beautiful looking bike, and you've got the chopped off fenders in the bobber style, but the only negative to having chopped off fenders is that a lot of the muck from the wheel comes up and hits you on the back. So unfortunately it was raining last night, there's a few puddles about, and I'm feeling water going down my neck, so that's one of the trade-offs of having the bobber style. Dial, you've got an analog rev counter, which is nice to see, and the speedometer is digital. It's quite small, so it's not easy to read when you're going along, and as usual with all the Harleys, you can flick through with a button on the left handlebar and see different things on the screen, but of course when you're riding you tend to look ahead rather than look down, and that's what you should be doing.
Which do you think's got more horsepower?
Yeah. You might win.
This is a lovely thing about living in the countryside. You can just go for a walk with your 6 horses and your little horse. I don't know what they're called, but they bark a lot, so I think there might be something wrong with it. Now, as I said before, this bike has got the Vance Hines Hi-Output slip-ons, but it hasn't got a stage 1 tune or anything. But you will be able to do the stage 1 tune pretty much in the next couple of weeks. Diag 4, who do lots of tuning, they've come out with a stage 1 tune for the 2021 models that has a way of bypassing the sensors so that it actually works and doesn't come up with an error code every time you put an exhaust on it. So that will be absolutely fantastic.
seat's nice and comfortable. You've got a good strong back bit here to stop you sliding off the back. There's a small pillion pad as well for passengers, and you're looking at short rides on a bike like this. And you've also got the adjuster here for the rear suspension, so you can stiffen it up if you've got a passenger on, or just set it for your own weight.
The 2021 Fat Bob 114 starts at £16,995 in the UK. That's in this black colour that we've got here. And if you want to go for a different colour, you're looking at £17,345.